Made locally in Bath. This is Radio Bath.
That's Half the World Away by Aurora. Well, we're not half the world away now from Les Redwood, who's in Citizens Advice offices here in Bath and North East Somerset. Good morning, Les.
Good morning, hi.
How are you today? Beautiful, isn't it?
It's a lovely day out there, yes indeed.
Yeah, but you're inside, I'm inside, something's gone wrong somewhere, hasn't it?
Quite right, yeah.
So, I mean, we know that we've all heard of Citizens Advice. We all think we know what it's about. But actually, there's a wide range of services that you can provide.
Yeah, that's right. And we're especially relevant. Our service requirements and needs and usage has gone absolutely through the roof, obviously, because of COVID over the last 9 months. But our traditional areas very much around sort of help with sort of debt, with any family issues, housing issues, welfare and benefits, employment advice and consumer advice. That's really the kind of main areas that we work in. But the main thing is that we're still the main sort of generalist advice service on the high street. That's what we were set up 81 years ago during the war at that time to help with basically any problem. And if we can't help directly, we direct you into partners that can further assist. So and that need is greater than ever now.
Yes, it is. It is indeed there. By the way, you don't sound like you've been there since the end of the Second World War. In fact, you've only been there, I think, for about, a year and a half, 2 years now?
Yes, I've been in this role as CEO for the last 2 years. And yes, it's very much part of a new strategy for us, new direction for us, basically to make us a lot more, as it were, outward-facing into the community and to work much more closely with our council partners, other charities, businesses, and also the residents, of course, all across Bath and North East Somerset. And that's really the programme that we've been rolling out here at Cab Baines, and I've been sort of leading on that.
Well, it must have been a bit of a baptism of fire to have taken over and, less than a year later, be fighting our way through a pandemic with all the extra demands that must have been placed on you. How has the last year been?
Well, I think, that classic understatement, challenging. Yes, you're quite right. We were actually sort of quite a way into delivering our cultural change programme here at Citizens Advice Bath and North East Somerset. We were making a lot of operational changes, a lot of back office changes, and of course a lot of that marketing and communications activity that I was talking about, and looking at new partnerships and really developing the role and increasing the role actually within the community for Citizens Advice Baines. When, yes, of course, the dreadful events of late March hit us, and that forced us to then start looking at new ways of working. And so we were able to effectively rewire the service. Unfortunately, we had to suspend our face-to-face services working in partnership with the council, in the council offices in Keynsham and Midsummer Norton and Bath. But we immediately moved everything onto extra phone support and also onto our website, where there's a web form that can be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So,
yes.
So we adjusted everything, but yes, it was quite a huge challenge and a lot of work to deliver.
And I think that's always been one of the nice things about Citizens Advice, isn't it? That there is a face, there is someone that you can go and talk to, you can develop a sort of relationship, and you can build that trust, which a lot of people need before they're going to take the necessary steps to improve whatever aspect of their life has been challenging them there. But you found the phone system is working?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I must pay credit to our amazing volunteers. We have around about 100 volunteers, and some of them, as you say, have been here a long time and have built long-term relationships with the clients and the residents that we serve all across Baines. As you know, it's a free service, and anybody can access it with any issue. And it has been, a real challenge for us to try and maintain that. And also, obviously, to make sure all those volunteers, are looked after as well, and they can continue to provide that service. But it has been a really challenging time, and I did want to pay some respects to the volunteers there.
Well, I mean, I know that one of your volunteers, Jill Bottomley, who I think leads the volunteer benefits team, doesn't she? The appeals team there, has been awarded the Citizens Advice Volunteer of the Year Change Champion Award.
Yeah, that's right. We were absolutely over the moon that Jill and her team got the recognition for the incredibly hard work that she's put in over many years supporting our welfare and benefits team, and specifically around appeals with DWP benefits and welfare. And that team are an expert team. They have one of the highest success rates and quality rates in the country, in the top 90%. And that's been consistent for many years. So it was great to see Jill getting that award from our national organisation. We obviously have a national head office that's based up in London, and there are 272 citizens advice offices all across the country. And as you said, Jill won Volunteer of the Year this year, especially in this year, in such a challenging year, with all of us sort of working remotely and all of the stresses and pressures that were on us. It was a great feather in the cap for us all, and especially great recognition to Jill and her team for all of the incredible hard work that they've delivered.
And incredibly important for the beneficiaries there. These are people who had applied for benefits for one reason or other, I think, had been rejected, and under the system are entitled to put in an appeal. But the appeal system began to stutter and break under the strain of working at home and the pandemic generally. And Jill and her team stepped up, both in terms of the hour, but also, I think I understood she negotiated with a panel of judges that there would be longer-term notification of when appeals were coming so that they could be properly prepared.
Yes, there is a real challenge that has manifested itself in COVID. Obviously, as we're all aware, a lot of systems and procedures and the court system and the tribunal system has really slowed down because of COVID. And those problems are getting far worse now, actually, as we progress longer and longer into, we're heading towards nearly a year of this situation. And correspondingly, a lot of those support services are also starting to slow down and seize up. And as you quite rightly say, Jill and her team have done a lot of work to try and free that up as best as possible for the benefit of the clients. Sometimes people are in situations where perhaps their benefits stop while an appeal is going on, and sometimes that means that there's a serious decrease in income into a household, or even the income actually stops going into a household, which causes us real issues. And obviously, that's why you're seeing the increase in the use of food banks and so forth. So Jill and her team have obviously been working really hard at unlocking that and trying to speed the system up. And sometimes perhaps where it's a simple document that might need to be provided, we've been expediting that process and making things hopefully as bearable and as manageable as possible for our clients.
Yeah, and apart from all the stress and worry that goes with not knowing what's happening about your benefits and the appeals system generally there, as you say, all that can happen sometimes is that the problem is knocked down onto somebody else to pick up, with a food bank or Fair Share or others of those who deal with food poverty specifically having to pick up the pieces. So the knock-on effect can be quite considerable, as well as the distress. I think one of the things that I've been particularly impressed about the Citizens Advice, so, is that you're not just there to provide your own services, as in many cases the first port of call for people who are experiencing some sort of difficulty in their daily lives. You do act as a sort of broker, a triage for other services in the community.
Yes, that's something we've always done in terms of sort of signposting. Our key lead from our national organisation is to basically be open as much as possible. I call it the old Hard Rock Cafe principle, which is love all, serve all. So basically, we try and have the front, in normal world, we try and have the front door open as much as possible. Obviously, we have a high street presence in Midsummer Norton and Keynsham, and also in Manvers Street in normal operations. Also, now we've brought in the web form. We now have obviously digital options, and also we look at obviously enhancing the telephone service. But the idea is that we try to be as accessible as possible to all kinds of people, everybody. Really try to be as inclusive and as accessible as we possibly can. That's something that's been a bit challenged, obviously, through COVID, especially with the lockdown phases. It's been very difficult, especially we are concerned about people who actually maybe don't have the access to digital solutions or even perhaps even the phone solutions that we offer. So, we have worked in partnerships with other agencies in order to be able to use that sort of partnership response to help there. And one of the things that we were a partner in, a founding charity of, is the Community Wellbeing Hub, working with the Baines 3SG group, and also with Virgin Care and Baines Council and the NHS and CCG. And we were one of the founding members of that back in March. And that is a way of being able to share all the clients, the patients, the residents that are coming in with that need help. They're coming in obviously through the phone line or through or digitally at the moment. And we have 9 different agencies, pods that we call them, that are located together, that work together in order to share the workload and hopefully help us through this dreadful crisis that we're in at the moment.
So to what extent do you have a sense that, although no one at all would wish a pandemic on there, that there have been and will be some longer-term benefits that come out of the need to combat it together?
Yes, I mean, I think it is in this dreadful situation, especially as it goes on for longer and longer. It is, I think, important to try and take some, of the silver lining from the cloud and look at the benefits that have been delivered. I would suggest for us, and also probably in terms of services, support services for people, that the greater partnership working between agencies, especially on a local level, has probably been the biggest benefit that has come out of this dreadful situation. We are working now far more closely with the council, the various council departments, the healthcare system in Bath and North East Somerset, Virgin Care, and then the associated CCGs and so forth in the region because of COVID, initially because of the Community Wellbeing Hub, but also because of the work of Baines 3SG, which is the third sector group, where I'm actually a trustee of Baines 3SG, and that is all about representing charities. It's almost the charity of charities for Baines. And what that does is encourages all the members, large and small, to work together, and also though represents their views, shares resource training around, and also helps to lobby with perhaps Baines or Virgin Care to ensure that the third sector is equally represented. And that's obviously really important with the time of great challenge that we have at the moment, when everybody is completely flat out. Being able to share things very quickly or direct people to perhaps where the services are more focused and relevant for them is an incredibly effective way of working. It's very efficient and it increases productivity in terms of people getting a far better service locally. And that's been really probably some of the greatest successes to come out of these unfortunate events.
Yeah, I think when things are running normally, you quite often see charities like other organisations getting on with what they do. But when it's a situation like this, the need to work together, to come together, to find ways of helping each other, there's a real imperative for that. And I think it's also been interesting to see how the charitable sector, which has always had an interesting and dynamic relationship with the public sector, has been able to break down some of the barriers, the institutional and cultural barriers that have prevented that sort of collaboration. We were speaking to Penny McKissock yesterday from Southside, and there was a sense that the work that they're now doing with social care workers was beneficial to everybody involved in the process, from the recipient to those who are delivering the services.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think the key thing, hopefully, that will come out of this is probably the most important thing, which is a better service for those clients that need it in whatever situation. I mean, certainly the Community Wellbeing Hub is now, it's one phone line, it's one contact point for a multitude of agencies that actually, from a user's point of view, that's incredibly refreshing and easy to know that whatever your issue, if you ring into the hub, you will either get directed to one of the individual pods that's directly there to help, perhaps with housing or perhaps with a council issue or perhaps with a health social care issue, or alternatively, the hub will know where else to focus you if it's a very specialist issue. And that's a far better service and hopefully will mean that more people get the help that they need as quickly as possible.
Well, look, while we're on the subject of contact there, how can people help you and how can people get involved?
Well, in terms of directly helping us, we are always on the lookout for trainee volunteers. Our service obviously takes a while. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks of kind of intensive training to get to advisor level. That's full-time training. So in normal world, people sort of commit themselves to a couple of months of training, or they commit themselves to perhaps a part-time sort of 3-month course when they can fit it in, in amongst the other things they're doing. Now, that's still available. We are still always looking for volunteers to be trained signed up to support us. We are obviously a charity, so we do have on the website citizensadvicebaines.org.uk. We do have the facility to be able to donate and, to be able to gift aid and so forth. We do have that available. Also, you can obviously register for being a volunteer there as well. And we also have, obviously, social media now. A part of the new strategy that I've delivered is to enhance our marketing communication. So, just tagging along, even if people are not in a position to volunteer time or I understand there's a lot of call on people's finances at the moment. A lot of charities are really asking for help, and we're no exception there. But, sometimes just sharing things on social media, liking things, reposting things, especially, on maybe more on the business corporate side, sharing the things that we're putting on LinkedIn. That can also help as well. There are other ways to help and support all charities, not just us in that situation, that actually don't cost anything. But yes, it is a time of great need. And as I say, all those details are on our website, as are the contact details should you need any direct help as well.
That's fine. Yeah, I've just been looking up there. I think the number you've got there is 0344. Is that the right one?
That's it, yeah.
0344 848 7919. 0344 848 7919. If you're looking for advice, otherwise you'll find other ways of contacting your local Citizens Advice office here. I think the only thing we can say with any certainty in these uncertain times, Les, is that the demand for these services is going to be just as great in the coming year as it's been probably over the last year.
Yeah, certainly, and certainly in March, when we set up we worked to set up the Community Wellbeing Hub. What we were dealing with then was very much, people that were in quite a desperate situation of no food and no money. So, working with Baines 3SG and the community connectors, we were ensuring, first of all, that obviously we got food parcels and shopping to them and medicines and so forth. But then we also then began to support with the longer-term issues of trying to maximise the income coming into people's houses, be that sort of, welfare and benefits or also perhaps debt management as well for them. So, some people have got themselves into some real debt problems. So we sort of help with that. But we're noticing now that things are starting to develop into much longer-term issues where we're trying to kind of be holistic about how we support people and look at perhaps, for example, retraining. If somebody's in an unfortunate situation where they've lost their job or they need to, up their skills, we are now working with partners through the hub. Achieve in Baines is one of them, and it's WECA funded, where we can actually refer people into training courses, free training courses, which of course will help them get more money into their household and increase their sort of sustainability and resilience into the future, and then hopefully mean that they don't need food banks and the extra type of last minute safety net support that we do provide. So it is a longer term piece of work, and that's really where our work has developed. We do have some concerns though around debt. We do feel that debt is going to be a big issue. As you know, there have been various measures from the government that have forced, artificially delayed debt problems by the stay on evictions and that kind of thing. And we are concerned that people are perhaps storing up problems themselves. We would advise that if you do have debt situations where you don't feel, in control of them, please contact us. We can help, and the earlier that you contact us, we can hopefully sort the situation out for you before it becomes slightly out of control. So that need is definitely still there, even though there's this slight delay by government where people see that there's a ban on evictions and so forth. This stuff is still going on, and we are here to help. That's what we do.
Les, that's very good advice as always, I'm sure, and as we'd expect. I imagine you might have a slightly busier day than even normal, actually, now. But Les Redwood, CEO of Citizens Advice Baines, thank you very much for telling us all about that.
No problem. Many thanks. Much appreciated.
This is Radio Bath. Radio Bath.